I am Pastor John Hildebrand. We want to continue our study. This is lesson number 4. In the previous lesson, we talked about these beasts. We started putting them in numerical order. We talked about the lion. We talked about these 4 beasts, but we talked maybe more extensively about the lion. So I want to continue, and I want to talk about these different beasts a little bit more, just maybe go into a few more details. These are the 4 universal kingdoms of the Old Testament. So for those of you that know your history, and you've read the Bible, you've read history books, we know that after the Babylonian kingdom, there was a Medo-Persian kingdom. The Medo-Persians conquered the Babylonians. Even if you read the book of Daniel, you can read about that. And when we read about the 3rd kingdom, which was a leopard, which was the kingdom of Alexander the Great, which is very well known in history. He conquered the world in very few years. And then there was the Roman kingdom in which Christ was born. So there's a lot of detail I could go into, but I want to make certain things very clear for those that read the Bible so they would know what it's talking about. So when we read in the Revelation about the 8th beast, I think for anyone reading that and connecting the book of Revelation to Daniel, we know that they start counting here. And I know there's people, when they hear this, or they'll hear this, they'll say, no, it starts counting with different ones. That's not true. Because the Bible actually tells us the lion was number one of the 8 in Revelation. Why am I saying that? Because Revelation 13 verse 2 connects the beast of Revelation to Daniel, and that makes it very clear that he starts talking about these beasts, starts counting right here. So Revelation 13 verse 2 is a reference that connects the beast in Daniel with Revelation, and also is a proof text that it starts counting right here with the lion. So I know I'm repeating myself, but it won't hurt anyone that wants to really learn. So when you read about these different beasts, you're looking at a body of people that's always the same motive. It's just a different kingdom. So maybe somebody might ask, well, why do we have different beasts in different time periods? Well, that's very simple. I think it's because this was a Babylonian kingdom. So the devil usually works with the most influential, the one that's the most powerful. For example, in the time of the Babylonian kingdom, Nebuchadnezzar was the most powerful king. So obviously the devil usually uses the most influential person. So when the Medo-Persians conquered the Babylonians, guess what the devil would do? He would obviously turn his attention here because he can work through these people better than these, because these have more power than they have. And usually that's where the devil works the most. I'll give you a simple example. When you look at a family with a father, a mother, and children, where does the devil work on most? It's the father, the strongest one, the one that has the most influence. That's where the devil really works on to try to get him down. So if he gets the father down, he gets everybody else. So that's the same, the devil does that the same in government, in politics. He uses the most influential ones, and that's where his attention is, because the most influential ones can make laws that turns people away from God, that influences people, that can distort history, that can actually, do a lot. So that's why in the Babylonian kingdom, we have the devil working through them, because they were the highest power on earth. They were the most powerful, that was the most powerful king. But when that king fell, there was other kings that were stronger than him, because they conquered the Babylonians, so he turned his attention here. And so we have a different beast, because this was simply a different nation, and yet the very same motive, the very same serpent. This wasn't any more holy, it wasn't any different in that sense. It was idolatry the same way. So when the Grecian kingdom conquered the world, Alexander the Great was the most powerful king at the time. So the devil obviously turned his attention to him. And that's why the Bible elevates those in different time periods. But we got to remember that it's always the same. I will show you another picture here, or another symbol, that will help you understand that. For example, just to look at this, you see the serpent? This is all connected. It doesn't matter whether we read about the lion or the bear or the leopard or the dreadful and terrible. When you trace them, they're all the generation of the serpent. So it's all the same. It's all the same motive. Just the devil works through the most powerful one, and that's the difference. That's why we have, every time history changes, there's a change in history, you see a different beast. For example, when we have the Babylonians conquering, when we have the Medo-Persians conquering the Babylonians, you had you could say, turn in history. So the Bible focuses on the nation that's the most powerful at the time. And then when it shifts over into the Medo-Persian, that's where, or into the Grecian kingdom, that's where the Bible focuses on. So that way we know in different time periods how the devil has worked through different times. So I'll give you another example that's important, that I think is probably would help us understand. Let's say a person had 7 different costumes in his wardrobe, in his on his hanger. So first he would put on, a lion, and then all of a sudden he got found out, so he'll go and put on a bear, and he put on a leopard, or put on a dreadful and terrible. You got to remember, when you take it off, it's always the same devil underneath. He has never changed. So I think this is very important when we understand these beasts in this manner. So again, when you go back and look at Genesis 3:15, when you look at this is just more developed through time. But this is Genesis 3:15. This is the seed of the serpent, or like Jesus put it, a generation of vipers. In other words, these bodies of people are doing exactly what the serpent told Eve to do, and that is disobey God, rebel against God. And that's what this is. So once you see this, all of a sudden the Bible is a lot smaller, and it makes a whole lot more sense when you read. So just like the saints of God are referred to as, sheep, the same way the rebellious people are referred to these different beasts. So I'll leave it at this. In the next lesson, I'll go over into the New Testament, and we'll talk about the 5th beast, and we'll talk about the beast in the Revelation. Lord bless you.